Hey YouTubers, it's your boy Amari Points here. Today I'm doing something very different. Today I'm ranking all four Thor movies. As most of you already know, Thor Love and Thunder came out a few weeks ago, and everyone has their different opinion on the movie, and I loved it, and some people loved it and some people didn't. So aside from that, today I am going to be ranking all four Thor movies. So yes, I'm starting from 4 to 1. Coming in at number four is Thor: The Dark World. And as most of you know, it takes place after the first Thor movie and after the first Avengers movies. I honestly did enjoy it, but to be honest, it wasn't really my cup of tea. Well, technically, most of you know what the plot is about. Thor reuniting with Jane Foster, and she absorbs one of the Infinity Stones, and he takes her back to Asgard to help cure her. And honestly, in this movie, I think there wasn't that much chemistry between Hemsworth and Natalie Portman. And I think the person who directed this movie honestly really didn't do a good job at it. That's why it's at my number four, because I think if they did like reshoots or had another director film this movie, I would have been okay with it, because the direction this movie was going, it wasn't all that good. If well, honestly, I'm sorry, I can't talk today, guys. But all in all, I think if they did more reshoots and had a more appealing story to Thor: The Dark World, it would have been a huge hit. It really would have. Because with this movie, you can tell that it was going to fail. And Hemsworth himself said that Chris Hemsworth himself said Thor: The Dark World wasn't a good movie. It really was not. So yeah, that just says something that the direction of the movie was just going really, really south. It legit was. I could tell. Sorry about that. Yeah, but Tom Hiddleston is Loki. Chris Hemsworth as the God of Thunder, and Natalie Portman as Jane Foster. She was decent. But honestly, she really needs some work in this movie too. Because I did not buy the chemistry between them. The plot of this movie itself spoke spoke otherwise. You could tell that this movie was just gonna fail. That's why I put it at my number four. It wasn't my all-time favorite Thor movie. And coming in at number three is, well, the first Thor. Actually, yeah, it's the first Thor. We all know the story of this one as well. Thor's arrogance has him banished from Asgard, so he has to learn to live amongst humans. This is definitely a good origin story for him, learning that it's basically it's basically not about war and about himself. It's about honestly being a true king and caring for the citizens and the people. And let me tell you, I did enjoy this one. I really did. I did enjoy seeing the first Thor movie back in 2011, 11 years ago. This one really got me invested in Thor completely. And Chris Hemsworth, we got introduced to him as Thor. He is Thor. I cannot imagine anyone else playing this role. And I cannot imagine anyone else playing this role but him. But we get introduced to Chris Hemsworth in this movie as Thor, and there and we see a lot of interesting scenes. Well, that really just blew our minds. And seeing Thor live amongst humans, it did take a lot of time for him to adjust to being a mortal. But he still was able to learn a valuable lesson that his father Odin was trying to explain to him and teach him. And let me tell you, it really sets up the very first Avengers movie in a phenomenal way. And again, Natalie Portman in this movie as Jane Foster, she did good in this one. Honestly, she really did. And I kind of did buy the chemistry between them because they did. It looked like they really did have good chemistry in this first Thor movie, and all the action scenes in this movie as well with the frost giants and the battle with Thor and Loki, that really was interesting and very appealing because we know that Loki, as most of you know, Loki fell off like the Bifrost, and we all know that Thor was heartbroken, and Loki, we know that he was going to come back in the very first Avengers movie. We all know he was going to come back. He doesn't die that easily. Yes, but all in all, let me finish saying what I was gonna say. This was just an interesting movie, but it's not my very top one, to be honest. But it was still interesting. We get to see a lot of cast: Darcy, Heimdall, all of Thor's friends and his parents. It was a good introduction to all of them because because honestly, this was just really fun to watch and I was very invested. And all I can say was like when I first saw Chris Hemsworth as Thor, it I really it really blew my mind because this guy, I told myself this is a guy I can idolize and look up to, and he is definitely my hero till this day for the past 11 years. And it's just nice seeing this good origin story of Thor and how he became who he was to this day. A kind-hearted person who will protect the innocent and be there for everybody. And coming in at number two is Thor Ragnarok. So basically Thor is on this journey of self-discovery in Thor Ragnarok, and we know he's trying to figure out the visions of the Infinity Stones in this movie, and also we get introduced to Hela, Thor's sister in this movie, and as most of you know, she destroys Thor's hammer with just like a tight grip. She honestly, she honestly just legit blew my mind. And Kate Blanchett as Hela, the goddess of death, she rocks at this role. And yes, I can say that. I can say that she does. And again, we know that Thor gets stranded on this planet called Sakaar, and we get to introduce the Valkyrie, played by Tessa Thompson, who kind of has a dark past and everything. She is working for the Grand Master, played by Jeff Goldblum. And Loki is on there too. Loki's on the planet Sakaar as well. I hope I said that right. And Thor kind of gets a little haircut. It kind of like really did bug me at first, but honestly, I thought it was cool. And we also get to see Thor go up against his fellow friend slash Avenger, Hulk. And that was a pretty epic match. That was a pretty epic match, but what really got me is that Taika Waititi did a fantastic job directing this movie, better than any past director who has directed any other Thor movies, as well as anyone. He is a fantastic director, and we also get to see him play Korg, Thor's best friend, and a bunch of other familiar cameos in this movie as well that everyone is going to love. And let me tell you, this movie was also epic. We got to see Thor master his powers of lightning without his hammer and see all these fantastic stunts done by everybody. Like, I'm like, wow. After seeing this movie, I legit knew that Taika did a fantastic job directing this movie, and knowing he was going to be directing this movie meant that he was just honestly making sure that all the MCU fans were going to enjoy it and was going to remember for a very long time. And also, what I loved most about this movie is that, well, we get to see Thor take on a new look and a new journey that we honestly didn't expect to happen. And they also confirmed, like, Thor and Jane broke up in this movie. And Natalie Portman wasn't in it because, well, I guess she didn't want to be in the MCU anymore after Thor: The Dark World because, well, I guess she lost interest. Who knows? But still, this was a fun, interesting movie. All the stunts that were done, all the great storyline, and seeing that Mark Ruffalo and Chris Hemsworth come back in this movie, it was really mind blowing. It was really mind blowing, and we also saw like the post credit scene that eventually led into Avengers: Infinity War, and what else? Tom Hiddleston, he is just phenomenal as Loki. We get to see him come back in this movie, and wow, it was just amazing. It's incredible that every single cast member really lived up to the hype for the fans, and we're gonna be seeing, and that we saw Thor take on a new look and a bunch of real badass scenes as well. That is just something I really think that everyone will see and love, in my opinion. I think that's honestly something that is definitely worth watching. Worth watching. And again, Taika, he knew what he was doing with this movie, and it was just fun seeing him take on a different side of Thor that no one else has seen before. And it was pretty fun. It was interesting. It was appealing and exciting as well. It's just really incredible seeing Taika Waititi bring his vision to life and making sure that the MCU fans are going to be remembering this for a very long time. And again, at my number one, Thor: Love and Thunder. I I honestly get that some people didn't like it and some people did. Like me, I loved it. And the good storyline to this movie, I can say this, that definitely, this was definitely epic. And seeing Christian Bale, like most of you heard in my review, as Gore the God Butcher, he is phenomenal. He's hands down the most phenomenal MCU villain that anyone has ever seen. And also, seeing Chris Hemsworth take on a different side of Thor in this movie is great. And we also see the Guardians of the Galaxy for at least 20 minutes of the movie. They, in a way, they do help Thor get back into the battle because they're just there to encourage him. We know that they weren't going to be there. They weren't going to be there in the movie for like all the time because, well, it's basically Thor's movie. But they do help him grow and encourage him to get back into the fight. And let me tell you, seeing Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, aka the Mighty Thor, she is phenomenal. And Taika did a great job directing this movie. I don't care what anyone else said. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but again, Russell Crowe as Zeus, it seems really interesting seeing him as Zeus and funny as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for Thor as well after Thor: Love and Thunder. And what else I can say is that Taika Waititi was kind of like following the route of the Mighty Thor comics, the female Thor, and it was pretty interesting. And seeing all these interesting scenes in this movie, like, well, Thor reuniting with Jane, and we again, like I said in my review for this movie, we see why Thor and Jane break up. I'm not gonna tell you why, because when you see for yourself, you will know why they broke up, and it's kind of like an interesting backstory to why they broke up. But all in all, Tessa Thompson comes back as Valkyrie. Jamie Alexander comes back as Lady Sif, and we didn't see her in Thor Ragnarok. We don't know why, but we see her in this movie, and it was kind of interesting. She only had a few minutes on in this movie actually, and who knows? Maybe she'll play a bigger role because in the next Thor movie, and because Valkyrie is still king of the new Asgard. She is taking on so many roles. She honestly just misses. Sorry about that. She misses being in battle, and when her and Jane meet, they kind of form a good sisterhood and just enjoying each other's company. And all in all, still, this is not about them. It's also about the Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Once he sees his ex, it's kind of awkward. We know that. But still, Chris Hemsworth in this movie is just phenomenal. We get to see a bunch of epic scenes with him and also the kids of Asgard. I can't tell you what happens in this movie with them because I don't want to go into spoilers for you guys. When you see what happens, you'll know why this is my number one. This is just a great movie, and I'm looking forward to seeing Taika come back to direct Thor 5. I'm hoping we do get one. This is my number one for a reason, because this is one of the most interesting movies that Taika has ever done, and he is a great director, and seeing him direct Thor Love and Thunder is just hands down perfect. I honestly think Thor is really evolving into a character that everyone loves throughout the 11 years he's been in the MCU. And Chris Hemsworth, we know he's definitely not done playing this character. He's not done playing this character, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for the God of Thunder himself. If we might see him in Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, and Avengers Secret Wars. If we do see him in there, that would be phenomenal, and who knows what could happen. But all in all, this is my number one for a specific reason, because this is just one of the most epic Thor movies that I have ever seen, and I'm looking forward to seeing many more of Thor in the MCU down the line. It's going to be very appealing and interesting. And that's it for my ranking, guys. Don't forget to like, comment down below on what your ranking is for all the Thor movies. Subscribe and share with everyone you know. And press the little notification bell at the bottom of my video to get notified when my next YouTube video is going to be. I will see you guys soon. Take care and God bless. Peace.